Welcome to Seymour from the Front Pew podcast, coming to you from the broadcast studio at Seymour First Baptist Church in Seymour, Tennessee, and featuring thoughts and discussions around loving God, loving others, making disciples, and living the life. I am your host, Tiger Brooks, and now, on to the podcast. It is great to be back here in the studio with my good friends, Pastors Corey Austin and Jason. My name is Tiger, as I just told you. And this is Seymour from the Front Pew. And we are delighted that you have joined us once again. And as we even sat down at the table, we were discussing, so what is our topic today? You know, the development of these topics is kind of a process. We talk about it for days, and then we'll wrestle with it, and then we'll decide that we want to go in a different direction, and then somebody will have a bright idea, and we'll say, yes, let's do that. Well, this is kind of one of those topics that developed in a very similar fashion. And so we've kind of looked back over the width and breadth of the shows that we have had over the past couple of weeks, and we, have been talking about several, important topics, mission and vision. And we finally decided that we want to continue in that vein, offering something very important and weighty to you today. And so today's topic is sports.
I knew this was coming. I knew it.
We're going to be talking sports today.
I knew it. I knew it by the look on y'all's faces.
So why are we laughing?
Because I'm going to lose my job in a couple of weeks.
Somebody did not know the topic for today.
So the three of us, Jason, Corey, and Tiger, have conspired against Austin because this has been a running joke amongst the staff for, I don't know, for at least several months now since this came to light. And the issue that has come to light, and we're going to talk about sports. We are literally going to do that for this. We're going to talk about each of our favorite sports.
It got really hot.
But we are laughing because Austin, God love him.
Yes, he does.
He does.
Praise him.
Austin has interesting concepts as it relates to sports. He has a very definite understanding in his mind as to what is a sport and what is not a sport. And so we are broaching the subject, and then we will branch out into, some of our favorite sports. This is the kind of the time of the year. We've got baseball's coming into postseason. It is in postseason.
Right.
We have got, we're in the middle of the throes of college and NFL football. We have basketball starting up. Basketball practice is underway.
Right.
Started, yep. Soccer's rocking and rolling.
Yeah. And so it is one of those, precious times of the year that those of us who embrace sports enjoy. But to get this thing started, we are going to allow Austin to hang himself with Austin Clark's understanding of what is a sport.
Anything that lands on ESPN.
There's very few sports that land on ESPN anymore. It's all like
the Ocho
shows.
You're not getting off that easy.
Okay.
You're not getting off that easy.
So I
went to a NASCAR race the other day. Was that a sport?
Not even a chance. Okay, so I have this caveat. I believe this. I don't adhere. Like, if you don't agree with me, that's 100% fine. And I'm not offending anyone. I'm not like mad at you if your sport is not everybody. Well, that's because it's 2023. The rules. He about lost his coffee. The rules of a sport, what determines and dictates a sport, in my book, is it has to involve a team, not an individual. It has to involve a referee, not a judge. You can't be handed out points. You have to be refereed. And it has to be competitive and athletic in nature, not just one or the other. And I feel like there's another rule.
Ball.
It does have to involve a ball of some sort. Yeah.
A
So
ball.
it does not mean that
A
the
ball
things,
has to be present.
That does not mean that the things that are disqualified as sports are not extremely athletic in nature, but it means they are not sports. There's a difference between competition and sports. There's a difference between races and sports. There's a difference between all those things.
Okay,
So
so
things so the first thing that everybody says is cheerleading a sport, and that's
I never
people
say
get-
that would not be the first thing that would come
Fair
out of
enough.
my mouth.
So I would just qualify. It can be extremely athletic, but athletes don't necessarily play sports. I'm fairly athletic, but I don't play a sport.
Okay, so let's just.
But you have played sports before.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
because there's only like 5.
Let's just go down. I'm going to say the sport, and you say sport, not a sport.
Okay, and can we put a disclaimer that this does not affect my ability to lead worship of a holy God? Because there's going to be somebody out there that gets mad and leaves the church over this because I said that curling was not a sport.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Baseball.
Baseball
You're-
is 100% a sport.
you're
It
gonna
is
say
the
sport?
best sport.
Sport, not a sport.
Baseball is the best sport.
Okay. Baseball, sport.
Deion Sanders even said a couple weeks ago, the hardest thing to do in sports is to hit a baseball.
Who said it? Deion Sanders?
Sanders.
Okay.
Prime time,
Track and field.
not a sport. Competition.
Track and field. The thing that probably most normal people think
That's a sport.
That's the epitome of sports. You're running and jumping
I
and
know.
doing all these things. Okay.
No,
Gymnastics,
not a sport. Extremely athletic. Cannot do it.
swimming.
Tennis. So tennis is the caveat. Caroline wrote and challenged me pretty good on tennis. Doubles tennis, according to my laws, would count as a sport because the only thing that disqualifies it is because it's an individual, not a team thing.
As a judge rather than
But
referee.
it has a judge rather than a referee.
But the judge is like an umpire. It's an in and out. They don't award points.
Volleyball.
So that's
is a
why
sport.
gymnastics is not even if you did team gymnastics, it's because the judge hands out points. So it's too subjective.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Swimming.
Not a sport because it's an individual.
Yeah, but you have,
You have
relays
you have
and
teams.
teams.
So
and team
that might would
points.
work.
But no ball.
So
But no ball.
tennis and swimming are in the same.
Yeah, but no ball
I can
in
understand
swimming.
that. There's no ball.
Wow.
Water
Okay.
polo.
Yes.
That would be a sport.
That would be a sport.
I didn't even thought of that one.
Yeah.
That would be a sport. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not the funnest thing to
See,
watch.
there are lots of sports.
Football.
It's true. Definitely a sport.
Basketball.
Definitely a sport.
Okay.
Soccer.
Soccer, hockey, all sports.
That's not a ball. Hockey's not a ball.
But it's the same functionality.
Okay. We just wanted we wanted to out Austin, and maybe this,
Really, where we were going with this was our favorite sports, though.
Yeah.
But we had to get you
We had to
Had to-
just
on record.
Yes.
For the record, they told
I
me
actually
we were
said,
talking
"Don't
about,
bring it up," and I knew you would bring it up.
They told me we were talking about baptism.
That's the next.
Which we
one.
will.
That's the next one.
Whatever.
So let's just
Water
put
polo.
it out there.
Nothing.
You bring it? Yeah. Water polo.
Let's put it out there. So everybody, all you gymnastic and cheerleading moms, please just
Take it easy on him.
take it easy. We love him. It's not going to affect his ability to do what he does here so well. I mean, even our own Shelby, who's behind the camera, she was a dance team member and competitive, probably dance team member, which by Austin's estimation, it's not a sport.
Not a sport.
And
Athletic.
Athletic.
It's- yeah.
Because, I mean, like, hey,
Triathlon.
Triathlon.
I mean, right.
I love
But it's not a
triathlons. And most things I watch are probably not sports. I probably watch more non-sports than I watch sports.
Golf.
And like CrossFit is one of my favorite things to keep up with, and obviously I do. But it is not a sport. CrossFit. It is probably the most athletic thing that there is, but it is not a sport.
Interesting. All right, so
I know.
you just declared on your favorite sport is baseball. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
100% for me.
There is no other sport in your estimation,
Mm-mm.
even though you follow Florida State football.
Yep.
So baseball is it.
Baseball is the.
Did you play baseball as a kid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Was that your little picture that we had? Like,
Oh yeah,
last-
we did have that, didn't
Yeah.
we?
Somebody-
Wait, no, was I playing baseball?
I couldn't remember if
I
it was
don't remember.
baseball
Basketball
or
or something?
not. Okay.
Why baseball? Why have you like when and
I don't know. I
Wow.
grew up liking baseball. So when I was a kid, gosh, I think I was in maybe third grade. My dad took me to I think the first game I ever went to was a Braves Astros game. And then it became our thing. Every year, my dad and I went to baseball games. And I loved baseball anyway and grew up. And then I was not very good at it. I've never been very good at anything. Athletically speaking, at least. But I loved baseball. And then I was a Braves fan growing up because, you had Turner broadcasting or whatever.
Sure.
So you could watch even before they were good,
Yeah.
and
I do
then
know.
they were, yeah, I know. And then they were awesome for so many years. And then by the time I got in high school, I stopped watching it because you don't have time, and went through college and grad school. And then we moved to Illinois, and we lived 2 hours from Busch Stadium. I asked Leah one day to go. We had tickets to a musical or something in St. Louis. We were going for a night, and I was like, "Hey, can we go early and go see a baseball game?" She was like, "I don't know about that." She was pregnant with Everett, and so we went, and it was like the perfect day. It was a great game, great weather. We were in the shade. She began to like it. In that year, they were great, and then that was 2012, 2013. We would sit. It coincided with us realizing that the things on TV were starting. Eli was starting to pick up on them.
Mm-hmm.
So like he was watching, he was saying something, and he said, "Oh my God," one night. And we were like, "Whoa, where'd you hear that?" And we realized it was HGTV. Had been on in the background all the time, and all those reveals and all that stuff. And so we were like, we need to really be careful what's on the TV. Baseball's generally, you don't have to worry about it. So
Generally.
we started generally.
Yeah.
So we used to just watch every night. We'd watch baseball, and I'd teach Leah the game. She didn't really know anything about baseball. And then now she knows more than I do about baseball. But that year, Cardinals went to the World Series, and I just changed my fandom, and we've been Cardinals fans ever since. So anyway,
So since we're there, and this is a timely subject,
Yep.
Adam Wainwright's retirement, right?
oh man, yeah. And he's our favorite player.
Is he?
Always has been. Yeah.
That was a question.
Leah's always said, if you could have dinner with 5 people, you ever have that conversation? Adam Wainwright and his wife are on that list.
So, what did you think about the? I was just brought up to speed about this whole thing, so I'm not going to pretend like I've known this
Yeah, no.
forever. He had told his kids that he was not going to buy until he
Dog.
retired. Not going to buy a dog,
Yeah.
and then the team presented him with a dog.
Yeah. It was cool.
That was pretty
That's
cool.
It was cool.
I thought that was neat.
kind of fun?
Anyway, so
So yeah, but y'all don't. You keep up with the Braves, Tiger, and Corey keeps up with the Cardinals.
I do. Although
Well,
this
not
year,
baseball.
like I've not watched a single. I was sitting here thinking about as we're in postseason, I've not watched a single baseball game this year.
Gosh, we watch baseball every night.
yeah.
Every night.
So I've shared this with you, but for me, I'm grew up, came into my own in the '80s. That I go back to when the Braves first came on TBS, and that was the Superstation. And because we could get WGN, there were lots of Cubs fans. You could get WTBS, and that created lots of Braves fans. And so my dad and I watched Braves all the time. And I go back to Bob Horner and Bruce Benedict and Rafael Ramirez and Glenn Hubbard and all these early '80s guys. Dale Murphy was my favorite player of all time, still is today.
Yep.
Love Dale Murphy. I had ward number 3 when I played Little League. I only played a couple of years of Little League baseball and center field, and I played center field. And loved it, and we watched it, and then after they got good in the '90s, I remember this is hilarious. So I had moved out into an apartment with my cousin, and it was the the worst from worst to first. Sid Bream, he's sliding in
Right. I
against
remember that game.
Pittsburgh.
Running a 10-second
Pirates.
40 mile.
He's coming
40
around
dash.
third. He slides into home. Braves win. Braves
Yep.
win. My cousin and I are jumping around in our underwear in our apartment and warm embracing each other. and because
This story took a turn.
This is the most epic thing that has happened to a Braves fan when they finally win the pennant and everything. And then of course the rest of the '90s they were fantastic. They kept winning the pennant. Didn't win enough World Series. They should have won a couple more. And of course now, fast forward, my dad passed away in 2014, and and life has just happened, and things I just didn't have the time to watch it as much as I did, but I keep up with it. And of course, we've come full circle. Braves are fantastic again this year. Ronald Acuna just doing things that's unheard of on a baseball diamond. And so, yes, I'm still a Braves fan, but I can't really claim like you. I mean, you're a diehard Cardinals fan. I hope the Braves do well, and I'll watch it, postseason. But I'm not a hang on every game kind of person anymore. For me,
I'm crazy. What were you tall when you were a kid?
Yeah. I was always
You were always tall?
above average. Yes.
Okay.
Why?
Well, you said you played center field. That caught me off guard. I'm surprised by that. As tall as
Typically
you
be the
are, I
first
would have
baseman.
thought. Right? Yeah, I would have
Well,
thought.
I wasn't always 3 bills. I was somewhat more svelte in my.
But just pure height. Generally, you don't.
Yeah.
Generally, you don't put the tall kid in center field.
Yeah.
So unless,
but I mean, and then I
crazy
got
fast.
into playing softball. I played first base. I mean,
Yeah.
from henceforth and forevermore. But
That's all I ask.
All right. So, Jason, favorite
Right.
sport?
Oh, that's
Well, for me, you got to go. It all depends on you
Play or
talking watching
watch.
or playing.
yeah.
I mean, because it's different for me. Playing has always been soccer. I've played soccer since I was 3 years old. I enjoy watching soccer. It's not my favorite to watch. It can get mundane a little bit. I love anytime World Cup is on stuff. I still remember going on vacation with my family, and I think it was '99, and then the year of the Women's World Cup, they won the World Cup in dramatic fashion. And I remember watching that with my family, and so I enjoy watching soccer, but I've always loved playing it. So that's favorite sport to play. But then to watch, it's got to be college basketball, top tier for me. North Carolina fan, of course. It's college basketball, but I really enjoy watching college football as well. Saturdays on.
It's nice that North Carolina is finally good at football.
Yes, it is. I mean, we've been teetering on it, and hopefully they don't drop off the market this year, but at least until we hit the buzzsaw of Florida State, that is.
Yes, sir.
And or Duke. We'll see how that happens. But
yeah.
So yeah, that'd be my favorite sports to watch as opposed to playing.
Who do you follow with professional soccer?
I mean, I just watch it.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I don't
a team
have
or anything.
I don't have a team that I necessarily pull for. I just like watching it.
Yeah.
Per se. The only team that I would say that I genuinely pull for hardcore is North Carolina.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I have anybody else. I mean, even now watching NFL football, the boys, it's so funny when we sit down to watch an NFL game. Now I'm pulling for who's my fantasy team is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Go have to turn that into a Titans fan.
So the boys will ask me, they're like, Dad, who are we pulling for in this game? Well, I'm pulling for that running back. And I'm pulling for that quarterback.
It does affect the way that you watch NFL now that I've done. I was kind of late to fantasy several years ago, kind of got into it. And it really, for me, I love college. I didn't really get into I jumping off of you on baseball, but I'm all in on football. Love football, but it's college football.
Yes, same.
NFL football is second tier for me, but fantasy is redeemed NFL football for me.
Got half of it. Right?
I watch it. I look at. I'm a huge Titans fan. Just when they moved here, I'm like,
why not?
I'm from Tennessee. I gotta be a Titans fan.
Yeah.
Growing up, I went from, this is weird because you can't be one or the other, but it's very difficult. I loved the iron, the steel curtain, Pittsburgh Steelers, Mean Joe Green, Lambert, all those guys, Ham, all those players that they had. But I also was a huge Dallas Cowboy fan for a period of time. Now, both of those, they battled back in the 70s, which
when they were good.
Yeah. They Exactly. Loved Tom Landry. Had a huge amount of respect for Tom Landry. Really, I was out when they did Tom Landry the way that they did him, and brought in Jimmy. What's his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
I know. I'm picturing him.
I bring nothing to this
Jimmy
conversation.
Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson. And
Does he make sausages?
no, that's Jimmy Dean. Anyway,
A
so
whole nother podcast.
yeah, we could go a long time on sausages.
Did you say Jim Beam?
Jim- Are you trying to get me to join you on the unemployment line? My goodness. But yeah,
So like
For me-
I'm all football,
Yeah,
like all
absolutely.
football all the time. I love it. I really just sports in general, but I always try to explain. It wasn't always that way. Like growing up, it was all Kentucky basketball, and
Yeah.
that was it. I mean, like again, I've always tried to explain. People ask, why do you like Kentucky? I was born in Kentucky, really, and we moved to Tennessee when I was about 7. But even then, we went back to Kentucky all the time, and so until high school, all I knew was basketball. I mean, I never played football and never did any of that, and then got into football, enjoying high school football, and dated a girl whose dad was a huge UT fan, and so I became a UT fan, and so I really am at this point in time, I'm UT everything else except Kentucky basketball.
Yeah.
But my favorite team is still the Titans. Yeah, by far. Again, when they moved into Nashville, Melody and I had just been dating for a little bit of period of time. I think one of our first dates was to a Thursday night football game in Nashville, and up through Caleb being born, we had been to every non-Sunday game they had ever had. So whether that was a Monday night game or a Thursday night game or a Saturday game, we had gone to every non-Sunday game they had ever had. So, matter of fact, right after we knew we were pregnant with Caleb, we were in New York for the Monday night game after Thanksgiving to watch them play the Jets. It was freezing. I think game time temperature, start of the game time temperature was 17 degrees.
Jeez.
So it was cold.
Yeah. That's fun.
breaking the ice off your seat.
But that was the fun. I mean, that was Steve McNair and Javon
Yeah,
Kearse, and
that's-
it was just a lot of fun.
Did you,
yeah.
Did you ever go see them when they were in Memphis that one season?
No, we did not. So really waited until they were in Nashville,
Right.
and then once they were in Nashville, Mom had season tickets. So that's how we got to so many of the. Again, we couldn't go to Sunday games because I was in ministry, and so she always let us, pick the Saturday games or the Thursday night games or whatever it was to be able to go to, and
It's cool.
so it was always a lot of fun. And we always really enjoyed it.
yeah.
And your football.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I grew up. I played church league basketball. I enjoyed
Sir.
playing a lot of different stuff. But when I was in high school, we had a church league basketball team, and that was fun. I was a round mound of rebound. But and played a little bit of baseball as a kid. But for me, it was always football. It was from flag football to playing, in terms of playing. Then, got into tackle football, and I played in middle school. The second game of my 7th grade year, broke my ankle and was out. No, that was 8th grade year. Broke and was out the rest of the season. But then got to high school, and we were pretty decent. I played at Dobbins Bennett High School, and my freshman team went undefeated. And as a sophomore, I didn't play a whole lot. There were older upperclassmen, but my sophomore year was like 4-6. Wasn't great, which was I wasn't used to that level of not winning. And but my junior senior year, we went undefeated in regular season, and claims to fame would be my junior year. We played the second round of the playoffs. We played at ETSU's mini dome back when they played in the mini dome. Still played on AstroTurf. And then my senior year, that was against Knox Halls at ETSU, and they went on to win the state. They had a Jason Julian who was a fantastic player at Halls and went on to play at Tennessee, was on that team. And Randy Hall, who was a lineman, both of them signed with Tennessee after that. Anyway, they beat us. My senior year, we played the second round. We went undefeated, we were 11-0, and played Knox Central in Neyland Stadium on the turf.
That's cool.
That's fun.
And so that was something we should have won that game. I always look back and say, we had a great line. We had a great running back by the name of Mike Falkerson. Now it's Mike Falkerson Delaney. He went on to play at North Carolina, had a great career, went into the NFL, played several years with a couple of different teams, Panthers, Bears. Anyway, he was a fantastic back, literally averaged like 11 yards a carry.
Jeez.
And we decided that we wanted to maintain balance. And so we only ran him, a whole lot less than normally you would if you had a back like that, because we had a fairly even attack through the air and on the ground. But we just didn't have it that night. So we got put out of the playoffs. Anyway, but and then I had an opportunity I visited Tennessee. They wanted me to walk on at Tennessee. Had a couple letters from other places to play college ball, but I had played for so long and it just was burnt out on it. And I didn't want to do it. And then like a year after I made the decision not to play in college, I was like, man, what would that have been like? I kind of wanted to play, but then I was like too late. But I enjoyed playing football. And I love watching football. I love supporting, going to watch Tennessee games now. I grew up, mom and dad had Tennessee season tickets. And so I was born and raised a Tennessee Volunteer, and loved going to that, experiencing everything that is Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I love watching basketball too.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, you've talked about it before. How long have you had y'all's season tickets have been in your family since, or for how long?
mid 60s.
Yeah.
Wow.
I knew it was a long time.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's, I don't know if I should out this on
Sorry.
a podcast right now. There are 8 tickets in Thomas Brooks's name.
You're Thomas Brooks.
That's exactly right. And for years, obviously, Dad's passed on, but we've just kept the tickets. And I have got a cousin and a good buddy that I've grown up with, who's more like a brother. They kind of carried the water for those tickets a lot of time because I'm in ministry, don't have a lot of money. And but once Ellie has made it into the University of Tennessee, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to get 2 of these tickets. So I buy 2 tickets now, and we still have 8 are in our. It's funny. Last year we were in section Q, row 60, for 60 years. I mean, 50. I don't know how many years. It's been crazy. However many, not that many years. 50 years.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is,
sure.
whatever it is. Well, I'm 53, so it was well before I got there. So I guess we've been there that long. But last year they moved us because of construction, and so we moved one section over, same row, and all 8 seats are right there on row 60 and 61. Now are 4 and 4, and so it's fun.
You're in section what now?
He's brought
Yeah,
it.
pull it up.
Got the diagram.
You're in,
we went
aren't you?
from Q, no, we went from Q to P.
To P. Okay.
Yeah,
All
so
right,
we're one section further to the south.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we got a great view of the newest jumbotron across the way
Yeah.
there. But anyway, good
Undercover
atmosphere.
too, right?
Yeah, man, we're in the shade and in the dry. We love those seats.
Yeah.
They're great seats. I'll get all y'all up there one day.
That sounds fun.
We'll go. But anyway,
You're orange if you're checkered.
yes. Yeah, if it's checker Neyland, we typically are orange.
Yeah.
Which is also a fun thing.
I got to go to my first Tennessee game last year.
And you ate
Don't-
your way
yeah,
through it.
whatever.
Oh my gosh.
You
I
didn't
just
go
kept
to a
kept
game.
getting these texts from Austin. It's like, this is what I'm eating now, and it's a picture of food.
You were
him
in the
eating-
box.
Yeah.
Well, so
It's like the Roman
I grew
Colosseum.
up a Florida
up
State
there.
fan.
Yeah.
Yep.
We lived in Panama City when I was saved, and we won the national championship that year, '93. And then and then we moved to Tennessee, and all the Tennessee fans got on my nerves. And then we played y'all in '98, and
Yeah.
Our
Then we
third-
then we really got on your nerves.
our third string quarterback lost to y'all, and never heard the end of that. So So anyway, so when we moved here, in fact, when we moved here, we were driving down, whatever. What's the name of that road?
Henley Street.
Henley Street.
The bridge.
The first time going over the bridge, and the kids were like, "What's that over there?" And I said, "Well, that's where they go to worship on Saturday."
Well, I can't deny that.
So anyway, so then, but my D group, Scott won some box seats last year, and I went to my first, and it took everything within me not to wear a Florida State jersey into that place. But I borrowed a shirt at the last minute.
You were happy.
And I did.
didn't.
It was all you can eat, and I did.
Oh,
You
yeah.
did.
So I don't think I can ever go to another game because I've been spoiled by the all you can eat.
Yeah.
I think I ate like 4 steaks that day.
Oh,
It was amazing. And then 3 pieces of cheesecake. But anyway, I have a random question if we have time. What's been your favorite thing to coach your kids?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Sports. Because that has caught me off guard.
I've coached them. I mean, like we've played everything. We played flag football, baseball, soccer, basketball for a short period of time.
It's funny. Those are all sports, by the way.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, but
To bring it full circle.
when you talk about coaching them, though, it probably comes down to 2: is swim or soccer. Swim, they were both just really, really good. When we moved here, and again, both of them had swam since they were 5, 6 years old competitively, and both were
According to him, it's not competitive.
I know.
It is competitive. It's just not a sport.
But again, in that
I swim?
regard, we were at that point in time we're dealing with middle school and high school teams also. So and you have judges, not referees, though.
Right.
So yeah. Anyway, but both were pretty highly ranked for being a 8th grader and a sophomore. And so it was really, really neat to see. And again, a lot of people may not know that's what I did in high school. And so it was a lot of fun getting to see them progress. They had won regional championships and done all kinds of different things. And so it was a lot of fun getting to see that and do that. And then soccer was a lot of fun getting to coach them. It's very active. Early, it's just enjoying and playing the game and staying and having fun. But the more you progress, there's more strategy. There's more how you use your body, how you there's a lot to soccer that's not about kicking the ball.
Yeah.
And so whenever you move up through that, it was a lot of fun to be a part of that. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Right now, so far, the only thing
It's
I've
only
coached
doing
my
soccer.
boys is soccer.
Right.
Hopefully at some point they'll start playing basketball. I want them to look at that. I loved playing basketball when I was in school.
You think you'll coach them?
I think so. I think I'd enjoy coaching them. Basketball and soccer would probably be the only 2 sports that I would coach.
Right.
Because that's the 2 sports I played. It's the 2 sports that I know the best. I never played football. Preston wants to play football desperately, and we'll probably let him play it.
I'm excited to watch Preston play football.
I think he could.
I think he's going to run through a wall.
I think he could be good. So the interesting part would be the first time he gets hit. What will he do when he gets hit?
Yeah.
Now when he hits somebody for the first time, that'll be a different story. So he'll enjoy that, I know. But so hopefully in time, right now, as far as coaching wise and thinking about what my kids are playing, it's from the standpoint of time that, some of these right now, soccer is consisting of basically 2 days a week. And the thought of 5 days a week at 7 and 8 years old, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't, there's just no way. I mean, how do you do that? And to me, it just starts to burn him out in that sport that early. So hopefully, when he's about 10, 11 years old, I think that's when we're going to look at, maybe letting him, if mom will let him, play football for a little bit and see how he enjoys it and likes it. And I think he'll be good. I think he's just a natural, gifted athlete. So
yours is getting to coach basketball.
I
for
love
him, right?
coaching basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, which catches me off. I mean, I always loved playing basketball. I was never any good at all. But yeah, I've coached the kids. I've coached the boys. I haven't coached Nora in anything yet. But she doesn't really like sports, at least thus far. But the boys, baseball, soccer, we tried. Corey and I co-coach soccer. I just don't understand the game enough to help.
Yeah.
Well,
But basketball, man, I love coaching basketball.
your dad coached basketball too, though, right?
He coached
Did he not?
church
It was
league for
church
us.
league basketball.
Yeah,
I
sure
remember him being out there for some of that.
Yeah,
so,
and I've loved coaching, and this is the first. It's killing me not to get to coach him this year, but yeah, I find a lot of joy in coaching the kids. Did you coach Ellie at all?
I didn't coach her. She didn't. She had a couple of years of a run at basketball because she got tired of everybody asking, because she was such a
she's so
tall
tall.
kid. Everybody was asking her, and I would have loved for her. I wanted her to experience being on a team and all that can teach you. And so, I was all for it. And when she finally kind of opened the door, I went and bought the goal. We lived, our house at the time had a driveway that just went off in a slope on every other side. So I bought this netting that goes around to keep the ball from having to go down to the bottom of the neighborhood. And had the whole deal, and bought her some shoes. And we'd go out there and I was showing her some post moves and, how to rebound and what to look for and how to, figure out where the ball is going to come off the rim and all those kinds of things. And she did a couple of years for some local community teams. And finally I could tell, because she wasn't going out to practice. She wasn't, that passionate about it. And after a couple of years, she was like, I would rather just play in the band. And so I became a band dad, and she went off, and the rest is history. But anyway, that was my.
Everett has declared after our last triathlon, he's declared he wants to do a triathlon.
Yeah.
So I've started coaching him on swimming.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how that's going to progress.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I mean, again, my boys did competitive triathlons for several years while we were younger, and a lot of fun. Great. Again, you don't have the team,
right?
But incredible community environment whenever you get into those settings and everything or whatever else. And so it's really neat to be around those and see how people interact in those. So
yeah. I think as we kind of wrap up the thing, you think about this perspective. We all love sports.
Yeah.
I mean, are you about to get spiritual?
I am going to go spiritual. All right. We got to get a little spiritual here, right? To wrap it up. But, when you think about, and I can say this because in student ministry, sports is very much a factor.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I can word it that way.
Right.
And I love watching my kids play. I love being involved in my kids playing sports. And to some degree, there's an aspect that I recognize I'm living vicariously through them, that the sport, like I went and watched a Seymour soccer game last night, and I'm sitting there in the stands and just itching and want to get on the field because you miss it so much. And I do the same thing with my kids. And, as I've started coaching my kids, watching my kids play sports, it did not take me long to see how sports can bring out the worst in my kids and vice versa, how sports can bring out the worst in me. And it allowed me to kind of say, when I'm coaching my kids in sports, when we're playing these things, and even when we're watching it from a standpoint of, there are so many things that sports and competitions can bring out the good and can bring teachable moments, even spiritually, humility and working together as a community, and we could go on and on. But I think the important thing is for us is, there are going to be kids that are going to thrive and succeed in sports to the professional level. That's rare.
Yeah.
Rare.
But even those kids, I mean, I've been talking, I've said numerous times this to the football team, to my soccer team, to Roman's teams, to other teams across the board. In the end, character is what matters more so than the outcome of any game.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at even some of the highest paid professional athletes who have bottom tier character.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, very few people are pulling for them because there's just no character there. And there's just, and in the end, for us as believers, I think we need to recognize and understand that our walk with Christ, the way we live our lives, even in the sports realm, needs to supersede anything else that comes into the picture. And because in the end, that's what's going to last for eternity. Not saying there's not going to be sports in heaven. That's a different question, but we're going to have fun and stuff, but that's not what that's not where it's going. Yeah. Right. It's about our walk with Christ. And so I just want to kind of turn that around as we're talking about our kids and whatnot. And don't let, I hope that I don't do this and other people hold me accountable to this, and we can hold other people accountable. Don't let sports become, like you said, worship on Saturday.
Yep.
That's what it's about. Because that's not what our lives are supposed to be about.
Yeah. And I don't want to, this is probably an entire podcast in and of itself, what I'm about to say, and I may make some folks mad. But, you talked about the fact that, there's probably significantly less than 1% of kids are going to do all of that. Don't sacrifice the spiritual growth of your child on the altar of sport. That was for me, whatever Ellie was involved with, and I'm probably, I guess I could say I'm proud of this. I'm proud of her in this. Every activity she had and she participated in, she saw it for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And she was never going to let it impede her ability to come to church, her ability to be involved in the student ministry.
Mm-hmm.
It was not going to happen. She was not going to not go on a mission trip because you got camp sometime. I mean, it just wasn't going to happen. And that was never a fight that I had to have.
Yeah.
She's just like, well, I'm not doing that. That's going to keep me from doing this. And I would just, caution you, prayerfully consider as mom and dad, the amount of energy and effort you put into sport, especially if you want to try to raise your child in the fear and admonition of the Lord and disciple them in the way that they should go. But anyway, there it is. The podcast sports episode here from Seymour from the front pew, and Austin's he's gonna get on us when we finally turn these mics off here in a minute. But anyway, we thank you for listening. Listen, also take a moment. If you're still listening, praise God for you.
Right.
We want,
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. We want you to send in your requests for topics. We would love to hear from you. You're about to hear an email where you can send those. If you've got something that's burning, like a serious topic that you would like us to tackle, we would love to hear from you. Send it in an email to us in just a second. Again, thank you for listening. If you're still listening, God bless you. We love you. And tell them bye, fellas.
See ya.
Later.
See ya. Hey, listen.
Thank you for listening to Seymour from the Front Pew. Our sole desire for this podcast is to glorify God by educating and encouraging His body. If you would like to learn more about anything you've heard today, feel free to reach out by email at staff@seymourfbc.org or by visiting our website at seymourfbc.org. If you're located near our community and do not have a church home, come worship with us at 10:15 a.m. on Sunday morning. Until then, we pray God's richest blessings on you and yours as you love God, love others, make disciples, and live the life.